Education as we know it is changing before our very eyes, and it's happening fast. Students aren't just learning from a teacher at the front of the room anymore. We're seeing a new kind of learning emerge, an era powered by generative AI, making learning more on-demand and personalized to each student wherever they are in the world. While many students are already on board, not everyone's convinced. There's still a lot of hesitation from students, teachers, and even from entire institutions. Today we're tackling the big questions. How is AI currently affecting college campuses? What AI tools are students currently using? And how is all of this changing what it means to learn? We're taking a look at how AI is showing up in higher education, and what students around the world have to say about it. In just 2 years since ChatGPT's release, the way students engage with learning has been completely transformed.
We used to Google everything, and then we would be given multiple links, and then we study from there. With ChatGPT, it's way faster and way more direct and straightforward.
Right now, we have a lot of that is how it goes, just rinse and repeat, memorize, throw it on the exam, and then forget.
Maybe videos or pictures or diagrams for me don't really get the job done. And so being able to give those to an AI system and it be able to recognize and then explain patterns to me in like a paragraph is something that I really appreciate and get a lot out of personally.
Currently, I use it to create study guides for tests and stuff.
If you're just trying to learn something new or you're trying to grow in your career field, the proliferation of AI as it becomes more accessible allows you to learn new things.
But it seems like now with AI, it'd be a lot better to kind of have students build things, build things in their passion and create.
As of February 2025, ChatGPT has more than 500 million daily users, many of them being college students. According to a recent OpenAI report, over a third of US college-age young adults use ChatGPT, and about a quarter of those chats are related to schoolwork. So, what are students doing with it?
I think it's great to have a tool outside of class so you can access 24/7, like around the clock.
While it may not be right like 100% of the time to get your thoughts kind of flowing in the right direction on a problem or something that you don't quite understand, I find that just super beneficial.
AI has really accelerated, picking back up some of the things that I've forgotten or that I need to learn. So, hey, like maybe in an assignment, I'm realizing, I don't remember how to do this. So it's an easy prompt. Hey, teach me some of the most important concepts of this topic.
Between classes, job hunts, internships, and just life in general, students are turning to AI to help juggle it all. Some use it to study, others to brainstorm. Some are even using it to explore new interests they'd never have time for otherwise.
For example, you can do personal uses, right? I was planning a vacation and I just went on one of the platforms and I was like, okay, this is the type of food that I like. This is the hotel I'll be staying in. Can you make me an itinerary for every day?
Personally, I have just a lot going on, full-time career, I'm a parent, I'm a student, I have hobbies or some semblance of balance. So it's really important for me to cut out, be efficient with my time as possible, and AI has really had a very significant impact on doing that.
For example, like in my nonprofit that I've started with my brother, a lot of times, there's things that we've never done before. So instead of having to do this whole search process and figure it out, we can go to AI.
I'm a student, I have a company, I'm working part-time as well, and I'm in a lot of clubs and organizations at my school, and being able to manage all those different things. I have a lot of AI automated emails, calendars, a lot of different things. So it's speeding up a lot of kind of the grunt work. So I don't have to, so I can spend more time doing the things that I actually want to be doing.
To get a closer look, we went to the University of Kansas and talked to students about how they're using AI, what's working, what's not, and how they really feel about it.
How has AI impacted your education or career goals?
I use AI fairly frequently in my classes. I do find it helpful. I'm conflicted about that in a lot of ways, just, the ethics. But for sure, I think it's made some things easier for me. It's made answers, explanations more accessible to me.
Yeah, I think it all depends on how you use it. I think if you're disciplined in your use with it, then it's a great tool for learning. But I think if you're relying on it completely, then you're wasting money.
Well, already we see it changing with students using it for essays and stuff. It definitely does have some pros with it could help you brainstorm or stuff like that.
It can't obviously replace the classroom experience. I mean, that's what we're paying for, but it can definitely help out when teachers have shortcomings in explaining certain aspects, or at least pointing you towards better resources.
What are some concerns you have about AI?
I guess my biggest concern, especially related to chatbots, especially at a university level, is just the fact that I think a lot of people are going to fail to engage and really give themselves enough credit for their work. I think the open use of AI in writing and in classrooms is a little bit scary because I think a lot of people have a lot more potential than they think they do. And I would love people to try to at least put in a little more effort.
I'm very concerned from a psychological perspective about how people interact with like an AI and if it's going to kind of cut off social communication. I'm also concerned, I know in the past with technology being programmed, a lot of biases can be programmed into technology, so there's a fear of that with AI too, obviously.
I don't know a whole lot about AI. I'm just worried because, it's moving very fast, and I'm planning on going into law, and I've seen, there's some convincing-ish videos, and, it's a little concerning, how fast it's going to progress into something more realistic, and that's all I really know about AI is the videos.
Well, as a film major, the videos also worry me because that's kind of my job. And I think lots of other jobs could also get taken away by AI, such as filling out paperwork, sending emails. I've already heard cases where jobs have been replaced by AI for sending emails. And that just means someone got fired. And I think that's a problem, that AI could take away the jobs of people.
How do you see education changing in the next 10 to 20 years with AI?
I think people are going to be putting a lot less work into what they're doing and authenticity. Just because of AI, you can get the answers to anything, which it's helpful for some things, but also it might become a little too much, I think.
I hope it gets better, but with the kind of future we're on, a little worried about the upcoming generations.
The reality is, AI isn't going away, and campuses are starting to catch on. Some schools are leaning in, building out AI hubs, launching new majors, and trying to get ahead of the curve. But let's be real, not everyone's on board. A majority of people in higher education are still figuring out what this all means.
We just went through syllabus week, and all the professors have their little lecture on whether to not or whether to use AI, and I think a lot of them are very confused as a whole. The student body, on the other hand, I would say is very optimistic towards it. I'd say most people fit in my boat. They use it as guidance for essays. They use it as tools for studying. They use it for a back and forth dialogue, something better than you could even have with your friends or your roommates or something, because it's actually knowledgeable on the subject.
A recent survey found that 41% of Gen Z feel anxious about AI, and when you break down the numbers, the biggest worries are pretty clear. People are afraid it's going to remove jobs, as well as reduce human learning and creativity.
There are positives, but I think that a lot of what society is doing right now is kind of ignoring the positives and putting them on the back burner.
I don't think people should heavily rely on it because it is not perfect. There is always going to be some false information that might be on there. So it's always important to whatever it gives you, especially for research. I want to do research on this topic, and it might give you some books or something, but you always got to double check if those books actually exist, if the authors are there, if they're credible.
Can you help me study on this? Having AI help you study, which is a great resource, while it can also be a hurtful resource because you're not actually learning the information.
You can get into a lot of trouble, especially in education settings, if you really heavily rely on that and don't critically think for yourself, and just sort of take the words that comes to you and just be oh, this is good enough.
So where does that leave us? Right now, students are leading the charge, experimenting, pushing boundaries, and figuring it out as they go. And while no one can say exactly what the future of AI in education looks like, one thing's for sure. It's already changing how we think, how we learn, and how we prepare for what's next. Lastly, we'd like to share a few thoughts from students on what it's like to be learning in this new era of generative AI.
I'm hopeful that it becomes more equitable and holistic. I think that that's kind of one of the problems with education right now, is not a lot of people have access to it. And so I'm optimistic that with tools like Mbuto and like ChatGPT, that whole process can become more equitable. Just make sure that everybody has access to a good quality education.
So I'd say just trying to be on the front end and innovating always is going to be the way to go, and really just trying to get the feedback of your students, because at the end of the day, you have the firsthand example of all the people who are experiencing and using it day to day. The students are the ones who are using it for their exams and their XYZ. And so if you can kind of work with them and show them that instead of taking a banning approach and just having them use it anyways, because they're always find a way to use it, kind of using it collaboratively where they can work together and maybe cite their sources and cite their conversations.
It's definitely going to have to be a lot more accepted because it's obviously not going to go away. It's like an innovation that has happened and it's going to continue to be innovated and improved. So the main thing is that professors and students are going to have to accept it, and they're also going to have to learn how to use it in the right ways.
AI is evolving every day. What works today might look different tomorrow, making it hard for educators to keep up. But by opening up dialogue with students and approaching AI as a tool to be explored together, we can create learning environments that are more innovative and personalized than ever before. We have the power to create meaningful change by bringing more voices to the table and working together to drive the future of AI in education.